Hello everyone, this is a short crime story, so let me begin. It was in West Palm Beach, Florida, where the sun shines brightly that my wife Doreen and I stepped into our new home. It was a sprawling mansion that was nicely decorated with beautiful paintings and elegant furniture. Together, Doreen and I had dreams of a life filled with laughter, parties, and fun. But unfortunately, along the way, Doreen became a changed woman. Though she was beautiful, she was never the type who would flaunt it. In her youth, she was the shy and reserved type who never craved for attention. I honestly loved that about her. But then, around the time she turned 40, something about her changed. Doreen was now into fitness and fashion. She would even spend hours in front of the mirror, tending to her hair, putting on makeup, and trying on different types of clothing. I could not tell what she was up to, and I was beginning to feel like I was losing the woman I had married. In the coming months, I watched how her face lighted up when someone praised her new dress or mentioned how good she looked. I became worried about how my influential business friends would perceive my wife when they come over for parties. I did not want them to lose respect for her. So, I advised Doreen to tone it down and to be less friendly with my associates. But my words fell on deaf ears. Doreen was different now, as she began to flirt with my friends. This made me jealous, and I hated that feeling. I became so upset that I stopped inviting my friends over, thinking that would solve the problem. But instead, it only pushed Doreen further away. She grew resentful, and I could feel her affection for me diminishing. Then came that fateful day when she called me on the phone saying, "I'm not coming home, Leslie. I'll be staying with my mother for a while." I felt broken-hearted, and immediately, I hurried over to her mother's house, where I began pounding on the front door, demanding to know where Doreen was. When her mother told me she wasn't there, I slammed the door behind me and left. Later that day, I received a call from a friend named Ronaldo, and I was in shock when he said, "Leslie, I have to tell you something. Doreen is having an affair with your friend Doug." I felt betrayed because Doug was someone I trusted. I sat alone in my home, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. What had I done wrong? The thought of her with Doug really worried me. To be sure she was having an affair, I kept in close contact with Ronaldo, who worked at a restaurant that Doug owned. And then, one night, I saw them together, and this shattered my heart. I was so enraged that the thought about killing my wife dawned on me. However, the idea of murdering her terrified me. When I began to think that I could face the death penalty. While contemplating more on this, I realized, but what if I could plead insanity? With this idea revolving in my mind, I decided to see a psychiatrist and pretend that I was insane. At the psychiatrist's office, I did a few weird things, like chewing on my tie, mumbling incoherently, and even talking about taking my own life. Eventually, the psychiatrist fell for it, as he slowly concluded that I was mentally ill. Soon, Ronaldo and I devised a plan to poison my wife. I promised him $100,000 to carry it out. Eventually, the day came when Doug invited Doreen to his restaurant for a special meal. And here is where Ronaldo slipped poison into her food. Days later, Doreen fell ill and died. Following this, the police investigation led to Doug's arrest, as he was accused of poisoning Doreen. I was pleased when this happened because he had destroyed my life by having an affair with my wife. Then, about a month later, I made a terrible mistake during my visit to the psychiatrist to pay my medical fees. During my conversation with the psychiatrist, I slipped up when I told him that Doreen was punished by God for her sins. The moment I said that, his eyes opened wide, and he looked at me suspiciously. Believing that he was going to inform the police, I panicked, and in a moment of rage, I attacked and choked him to death. After that, Ronaldo and I went into hiding, but it was only a matter of time before we were caught. The trial was swift. Ronaldo received a lengthy prison sentence, and I was declared insane and sent to a mental institution. Now, living in an asylum, I pretended to be insane for the first few months, and after that, I began to play the role of a good patient. Fortunately, after 5 years in the asylum, they declare me medically sane. Being released from the asylum, I felt like a free person. I was now looking forward to return to a normal life. But shortly after that, I began to suffer from guilt. The thought of killing someone began to haunt me. My own thoughts began to torture me, and I became miserable and unhappy. Now it seems I'll never escape the consequences of my actions. I don't know what to do with myself now. I've lost everything. Well, this is J.R. Singh saying bye. I hope you find this fictional story interesting. Please, subscribe.